Welcome back again. Inshallah, we'll continue with this. Now, this Surah Ikhlas, which we have just completed, Walam yakullahu kufuwan ahad. Now, this has got a very, very deep meaning for each and every one of us. If you are not sincere in this surah, it's very difficult to call ourselves as practicing Muslims. Now, we go now to the Rukuu part of it. When I talk of Rukuu, the position of a Rukuu is when you're bending forward. When you're bending forward. And when you're bending forward, to whom, why will you bend to anybody? You're a person who stands straight. To whom are you going to bend? You won't bend to any riffraff. You will only bend to the one who you revere, to the one whom you really hold as a very high esteem, the one who has power over you. I hope you understand. When you give yourself up, you bend down. Now, when you bend down, your head is low. You cannot look up with your head low. Try it at any point and see. You can never look up with your head low. Now, this is what is known as the Rukuu. And we start our next move to bow down in the Rukuu by saying what? Allahu Akbar. We have covered this earlier. Why are we doing Allahu Akbar again? We are refocusing, re-energizing, and re-establishing ourselves in our connection with Allah. So we are only human ultimately. And what happens is there are very good chances of us getting distracted. So what do? We remind ourselves that Allah is greater than whatever is trying to pull my attention away. And so beautifully, whenever our attention gets pulled away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us, is that which you are getting drawn towards greater than me? If you can even sense that question that Allah is putting to us, inshallah, you may divert yourself, but you immediately get back to your concentration of Allah. You try it and see. If you are conscious of Allah, you will feel that thing where Allah is asking, whatever has diverted you, is that greater than me? The next slide, please. So, to understand the great importance that Allah has placed in the Rukuu, what do we say? Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim, and Sami Allahu liman hamida. To understand this, what we are going to do is, we are going to refer to the Quran. Which are the ayahs which specify the part of the Rukuu? So, the one Surah Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayah 43, it is there for you to read. And perform as Salaah, Iqamat as Salat, and give Zakah, and Irka. Irka is an order. Bow down. Submit yourself. Ma'ar Raki'een, along with those who submit themselves. How beautiful it is. You're not the only person to submit to Allah. There are many more who are doing it. Join them. Then next Surah Baqarah, ayah number 125, we commanded Ibrahim and Ismail salam, that they should purify my house, which is Kaaba, for those who are circumambulating it, those who are doing tawaf, or staying there, performing itikaf, or bowing down, or prostrating themselves in prayer. Here also Rukuu is used. Then Surah Al-Hajj, Surah number 22, ayah 26, and sanctify my house for those who circumambulate it, and those who stand up for prayer, and those who bow and make prostration to Allah. Next slide, please. A couple of more ayahs. Surah number 22, Al-Hajj, ayah number 77. O you who believe, bow down and prostrate yourselves and worship your Rabb and do good that you may be successful. Again, Rukuu is used. And here in Surah number 77, that is mursalat. Allah talks of the people who don't bow down. When it is said to them, bow down in prayer, they do not bow. The last one I'm referring to here is in Surah Al-Fatah. You see them bowing and falling down in prostration, seeking bounty from Allah and His good pleasure. May Allah make us of those who bow to Him for His sake only, and that we don't bow to anybody else. Inshallah. Ameen. Next slide, please. Now, I'd like you to reflect on this position of ruku. When you bow down, your hands are on your knees. Your weight is practically on your knees. It's the most unbalanced and very awkward position in Salah, which is the ruku. All your weight is on your knees and you're leaning forward. It's very, very unbalanced. You're very unstable at that time and you're weak. Even the strongest person, when he's doing ruku and a kid runs into him, he's not able to balance. He will also follow. This is how we are. So when we go to ruku, we deliberately put ourselves in a very weak and unbalanced and unstable position. And then what do we say? Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, which is what we are and what he is. Subhanallah. Get that feeling inside you and then see how beautiful you feel this. In the ruku, we say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Now, Subhana, how absolutely, infinitely perfect Allah is. We had covered this in detail previously. Rabbi. Rabbi means my Rabb, which also we have explained. Al-Azim. Now, just think of it a little, how fast we mention this. Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim. Do you know that this Azim is so wonderful if only you know it in detail? Azim comes from the root word azama, zama, something that is strong, something which is firm, something which is solid. The bones in the body are called azim. Azmun is one word. Idam is the bones in the body. If the bones were not there in the body, we will never be able to be in the position that we are now. So Allah is definitely, definitely, infinitely great. Now, this word Azim, I may take a little time on this because I want not only myself, I want each one of us to feel it within ourselves, to feel the beauty of this. Azim is an attribute of Allah, one of the attributes, great in such a majestic way that it makes others have reverence, veneration, devotion, to be in awe. When you see something beautiful, when you see something great, your mouth opens up. Wow, this is the feeling that you keep getting inside yourself. It's so much, you get so much attached to it at the greatness that you are becoming in awe with Allah, and you would like to associate your connection, have your better relationship with Allah, inshallah. Now, one thing we must understand here, the entire universe, whatever is in the universe, except the jinn and mankind, are in absolute awe over Allah's greatness. Each and every creation, except for the jinn and mankind, know how great Allah is. They are fully aware of it. They have not been given the responsibility or the test, which we call as taklif, whether they are going to believe in Allah or not. No, they are not given that. The Quran itself is called as Azim, Al-Azim. It is from Allah, and that also needs reverence, needs respect. You understand? So here what we have is Allah has given the jinn Can we see the next slide, please, if you don't mind? Yeah. Allah has given the jinn and the mankind the freedom whether or not they want to believe in Allah. They can choose to completely deny him or to believe in him. They can choose to insult him, na'udhu billah, or to revere him, inshallah. Allah does not stop them from doing that. You understand? In Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it so beautifully. Truly, we did not offer al-amana, the trust, to the heavens and the earth and the mountains. We offered them, sorry, we offered the amana, but they declined to bear it. They refused to bear it and were afraid of it because they were afraid of Allah's torment. But man bore it. Here, the man automatically includes the jinn also. Verily, he was unjust to himself. He was oppressing himself and he was ignorant of the results of what he is going to do. Because now he's been given a choice and he's going to be checked as per his choice. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Imam al-Ghazali, he said that the mountain is praising Allah and being so humble as it sits on the ground, just like a human being would still sit for tahiyyah. It is an absolute awe of Allah, revering Allah. It's just sitting there doing tahiyyah of Allah. The trees standing up straight along the entire part of their life are in a state of khiyam. They are standing. Just as human beings stand up in khiyam during salah. Four-legged animals are in the ruku position. Knowing all that and then looking at the insignificance of ourselves, we should realize how azim Allah is. Now, here I would like to give you an example. Many of us know it, but just to see, our example on this earth is like a ring which is in a desert. Compared to the entire size of the desert, what is the ring? Then if you look at the earth and the first sky, the earth is like a ring in a desert for the first sky. If you take it along, the first sky compared to the second sky is like a ring in a desert. And as we move on, the seventh heaven is like a desert for the sixth, fifth, fourth, third, second, first, the earth, and then ourselves. That's the ring. Can you understand the significance of us? And then over the seventh heaven, you have got the throne of Allah. You have got the throne of Allah. And it does not mean that the throne of Allah as compared to all the seven heavens is like a desert and the rest is like a ring. It's very difficult to imagine how great these things are. But don't you ever think that Allah is sitting on his throne? No. Allah does not sit on the throne. It only signifies his authority. His throne is nothing to him. It's his authority which is more important. So that is why I'm saying, knowing all that and then looking at the insignificance of ourselves, can we realize how azim Allah is? Next slide, please. Not only is Allah great, but he is also the source of greatness. Please keep this in mind. Knowing the greatness of Allah, what is any human being on earth, however great he may think of himself, he or she may think of himself or herself. The previous example that I gave you is a very clear thing for us to understand. What do we think ourselves? Where do his power, wealth, fame, etc., come from for the human being? Of course, it is from Allah. To justify this, the day I came out of my mother's womb and the day you came out of your mother's womb, there's no difference between us. No, one can't say they are greater than the other. Both of us were naked. The day I go to the grave and the day you go to the grave, there is no difference except that white shroud that covers us. Whatever we have earned of name, of fame, or any such thing, or wealth, we are back to the same thing. So how can you say that you are greater than me? We find it so common nowadays amongst the Muslims. I think I'm better than him. I am greater. My position is greater. Nauzubillah, nauzubillah. Why don't we understand how beautifully this is explained? Never ever think that you are greater than anybody. No, you can't. Now, any power, next slide, please. Any wealth that you gain on this earth, you leave it right here. You don't take it along with you. So, what greatness are we talking about? What are we talking about? The greatness between us. You cannot consider yourself greater than anyone else. Even amongst relatives nowadays, oh, we are better than them. They are like this, they are like this, they don't have this, we have this. We are trying to show our greatness. You cannot consider yourself greater than anyone in any way. But what is it that we will consider great in the sight of Allah when you compare? It is your consciousness, your taqwa with Allah, which gives you a greater position than any other person. So if you want to show yourself great, have taqwa of Allah. Build a relationship with Allah. Make yourself greater where your taqwa is when compared to the others. Please, for heaven's sake, we fall into this horrible thing of where we feel we are better, we are greater. You must have observed in the Shaitan series also, one of the reasons, the main reason of Shaitan being thrown out of Jannah is because he felt he is greater, he is better. So we see the real difference when we stand in front of Allah on the day of judgment. Are you understanding this? You're great by your action that Allah is pleased with. The time Allah will make it, that time on the Akhirah, Allah will make it very clear that He is Azim. I would like to stop here for today's session because there's another part of this which I would like to go into detail with reference to an ayah in the Quran, which needs a little more detail on this. So inshallah, we will stop with this and continue in the next session. We still haven't come to the meanings of Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. We've just come to Azim. And then what we say is way lot than what we really think that you are. So please, when we make the ruku, let us not just say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Please. Let us all understand that you are going down to the great Azim. Jazakumullah khair. If there are any questions, we'll take it up. Otherwise, we'll close the session. Allahumma inna nas'aluka imanam mustaqima wa fadlan da'ima wa nazar rahma wa ilman nafi'ah wa aqlan kamila wa qalban munawwara wa tawfiqan ihsana wa tawbatan nasuha wa sabran jamila wa ajran azima ولسانا ذاكرا وبدنا صابرا ورزقا واسعا وسعيا مشكورا وذنبا مغفورا وعملا مقبولا ودعاء مستجابا وجنة الفردوس نعيما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.